Yo, what's up guys? Nanjiroh here and welcome to week 4 of Ask Nanjiroh. Now, this week should be an exciting week because I got like a few different questions and they're all kind of complicated. So, I'm expecting this video to go on at maybe like 30 to 40 minutes, maybe longer. And obviously whatever I don't answer this week, I'll go ahead and I'll answer next week. So, I got these questions from a few different people, really good friends of mine. So, let's see. Yeah, I got some from ksheri, from kiri, from kk, or sorry, kk. I still have not forgotten. I still have not remembered how to pronounce his name. Sorry about that. And as well from Nighttime 3. So we're just gonna go ahead and go down in descending order. His first question was, of course, it had to be a doozy. Is Spawn unstoppable? No, Spawn is not unstoppable. It might seem like it because it's a very, very daunting card, because obviously when you see that turn 5 buff, you gotta just like batten down the hatches, you gotta start like praying and whatnot that, oh, maybe he's aggro cat, or or maybe, for example, he might be playing mid blood with say Temptress Vampire and whatnot. However, you can beat it, and I will be talking about this in depth as its own like separate video, because if I start talking about it now, it's probably gonna like take up at least 20 minutes. His next question is: the meta boring or fun? For me, as a whole, I find this meta kind of fun, just because for me personally, I'm a builder at heart, so generally, I see metas as like puzzles and whatnot. Every piece goes somewhere. Some pieces can be used in more than one way, and it really just comes down to the sky's the limit as far as your imagination goes. Well, both your imagination as well as just you having what I like to call realistic optimism. Now, what I mean by realistic optimism is that not every meta is going to be peachy keen and 100% perfect. That's just not how life works. There's going to be good parts and there's going to be bad parts in any given meta. And for right now, something that a lot of people would say is a bad part is both neutrals as well as spawn, and I think that's, well, it's mainly just those two at the moment. But I believe 100% that after we get the nerfs in like 2 weeks or something like that, that we'll see a little bit more diversity on ladder. However, that's not to say that the ladder is currently not diverse, because it is kind of diverse. Because some days you'll see dragon, some days you'll see haven, some days you'll see rune. The only class that you don't really see as much, I think, is right now is like forest. But even then, you can still kind of see forest a little bit, just because there are some people that are playing neutral roach forest, which is a pretty good deck, and there are some people that are just playing straight up neutral forest with like B&B, which is Beauty and the Beast. So again, for me, I thrive in metas like this just because new cards excite me, puzzles excite me, and just, you know, trying to be that guy that just kind of like figures it out and like makes everything all make sense. His next question: why is Shiraha Ainsworth Raphael best girl? Now, if you don't know who Raphael is, she's a character from she's a character from the anime called Gabriel Dropout. It's a very, very funny anime, and I do recommend that you watch it just because some of their antics are very, very funny, and the opening is kind of catchy as well. Now, I think part of the reason why he asked me this question is because that character has a very, very prominent voice actress, and I believe her name is Hana Kanazawa, or Hana. God, people confuse me because when they're like explaining the voice actress to me, like some people do that whole like last name first name sort of thing. By that I mean, like, or not last name first name. Sometimes people will swap like the middle initial and the secondary initial for like the first and last name. So for example, like, actually, I'm not going to go into detail about that. But anyway, she's a very, very prominent voice actress. And in addition to having voiced that, she's also voiced some cards in the Shadowverse. Now, if you are around during the June like leader leader popularity poll, one thing that you might have noticed if you were in the know was that part of the reason why the votes were skewed for some classes, most notably Forest and Blood, is that Hanakana voiced the character for Forest, and she also voiced the character for Blood. And in Japan, they kind of freak out about popular voice actors and voice actresses, just because it's a very coveted role there. Yeah. But anyway, Rafi's pretty nice, just because like she has a very funny personality, and she's kind of cute in that she's pretty open and that she's pretty, I guess, like manipulative, but she does it in a pretty funny way. So I like her. Okay, his next question, and this is gonna get me a little bit in trouble, I think. But why is ksheri best Shadowverse wife? Yeah, best Shadowverse waifu. Now, if you don't know who ksheri is, you need to know. She's one of the few female streamers for Shadowverse, and a very good friend of mine. The reason why she's the best waifu is because she's pretty chill, she's pretty down to earth, and she's also one of those people that I like to watch because like she gets excited, but she doesn't get like tilted. Like there are a lot of people who you'll see when they stream, and you can tell when they're tilted because like they'll like sigh heavily, they'll be like kind of passive aggressive, and for me personally, that's kind of like a turn off when I watch streams. However, when I watch her, she's always upbeat and exciting all the time. And it's really nice. She also listens to a lot of K-pop too, which is a lot of K-pop as well as just J-pop, and just really into the international scene. And I actually really enjoyed that about her. But yeah, she streams semi well. I'm not gonna like say like her exact streaming schedule, partially because I don't know it, and two, I don't want to impose. But if you ever want like a good feel-good stream to watch when you're bored, go ahead and watch one of hers, because I promise you, once you watch it, you will love it and you'll want to come back for more. This next question: do people still play pure mid-range sword? Yes, some people still play pure mid-range sword. This is part of an overlapping question, which I'll go ahead and circle back around to this when I get to the question in particular that kind of ties this thing all together. Is the meta healthy or not? Is Dragon a dead class now? Okay, so I'm gonna start with the first one. I don't know. Meta health is very subjective. I do think that to an extent, what we have right now is not that healthy. There are good parts about it, because obviously, as I said before, there's good parts and bad parts to any meta. However, I do think that the fact that neutrals have more or less like almost like outsourced. Have more or less like outsourced class options, at least as far as the early game followers go, is a bit of a problem. Like when you see the same opener, the same 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 opener, 1, 2, 3, 4 opener, from the same 4 decks, that kind of really gets to you. Like even if you're winning the games, it's still that feeling of repetitiveness that some people, specifically casual players for the most part, but even sometimes competitive players as well, don't really like to see when they play, just because you want to try to savor that feeling of like new freshness. Like if you're just playing games and you can play like, you can just hop onto a ladder, you can see like a billion different decks, and like and you just go into your games and it'll be like a different deck each time. Some people actually want that, and so I think for this meta with the way it is, and the fact that again neutrals are so strong that you have to be even stronger than them in order to still see play. If you're an early game like aggro class, is kind of troubling. Like for example, this is how we end up with cards like Tove, who the only reason why he's in his deck is because he's one of the game's strongest 2-drops. and not even strong in that he's strong from his effect. You know, he's strong from his base stat line. A 3/3 is very, very difficult to deal with sometimes. And if you leave it on the board too long, it just gets in a lot of repetitive face damage, and you start bleeding from your face. As you may have noticed in my Scrims versus Scissor there was a game actually where I went turn 2 Tove. He didn't have an answer. He didn't have an answer until turn 5, and that Tove beat him in the face for 11 damage. Now, granted, I actually do end up losing one of those games, but when a 2-drop can basically like solo your opponent, that's kind of insane. Not even just, you know, like a stream of 2-drops of just one 2-drop. That's pretty insane. For Dragon, is Dragon a dead class now? Now, as you might have noticed from my video on from like when I reached Grandmaster, I was not using Dragon. And it's a pretty well-known fact by this point that I'm a Dragon fanboy. So it's naturally the obvious question that a lot of people were like, oh, why didn't you play Dragon? I didn't play Dragon just because I wanted to be able to climb faster, and Dragon doesn't let you do that. Just because Dragon is one of those games, is one of those classes where even the games where you win fast, it's not, say, blazing fast like how it is with aggro. Like with aggro, especially with some of the blood, with most of the blood variants, you can literally win on turn 2. Like if you go turn 1 Goblin, turn 2 Toph, your opponent will sometimes concede. I've had that happen to me. I think I actually won like 8 or 9 games yesterday just because people did that. However, regarding Dragon in particular, it's not a dead class by any means. I actually queued into quite a few the other day, and I've actually now seen a bunch of other people tell me that they're queuing into Dragon. Dragon is pretty good just because Dragon can always carve a niche in any given meta. Just because Dragon first and foremost is a control deck, and generally as a control deck, it takes you a little while to be able to get up to speed, and sometimes people can be kind of impatient. So if a deck doesn't seem like the next best thing, they just straight up just won't play it. However, Dragon is very, very popular in the Japanese scene, and it's very, very common for you to see like top 4, first place, second place deck lists and whatnot for Dragon lists. And to that extent, I don't think Dragon as a class can ever like die, just because it's very, very popular, and people like myself will always be trying to make it work. I have actually gone back to playing Dragon after having reached Grandmaster, and after gaining some clarity from playing other decks, I felt like it was a lot easier to play with. Is it a bad thing that most decks are neutral decks? Alright, so I think in this particular context, the word most is a little bit subjective. There are some decks that don't use neutrals. It does feel like most decks are neutrals. However, that's also you also have to factor in that perception as a very, very big role. If you see primarily neutral decks, or you just see the same deck over and over again, that kind of warps your perceptions. Like for example, if you see blood 5 times in a row, it doesn't matter what else you see. Just because you saw the blood 5 times in a row, you're just gonna be like, oh, well, I only queued it into only blood today, just because your perception was already warped, and you've already formed your conclusion. There are some decks that actually aren't running neutrals, and that actually work pretty well. Like for example, Mid-Range Shadow currently doesn't run. I think the only neutrals that they run, and the only reason why they run it is because they don't have any good class 2s that'll like let them run other things, is Mid Shadow that runs either Unica, that runs Unica or it runs Lyrial. Like the deck doesn't even run the most common variant of it doesn't even run Grimnir right now. Which I know you're saying, oh my god, it doesn't run Grimnir, that must make it a bad deck, but several different people have made it to Grandmaster with this deck, so it can't be that bad. I've actually played it myself, and you'll see that in one of my previous videos from today, which is I think it's titled "Playing Around with Mid Shadow." But yeah, I will, however, concede that there are a lot of neutral decks. However, I do think that at the start of the meta, you're gonna see crazy things like this in which people kind of just go for like low-hanging fruit. Neutrals are low-hanging fruit. By that I mean that I generally mean that decks or concepts that are more or less like packaged by developers to be that, this is going to be your starting point, guys. So this is going to be the easiest thing for you guys to understand before. Well, so it's going to be the easiest thing for the average player to understand before you kind of branch out and try other things. I do think in the next month or like month after or so, when we get the nerfs, when more and more people hit Grandmaster, that we're going to see less and less neutral decks. Just because eventually people get tired of playing the same thing. Both playing and seeing the same thing, and people do try different things. Okay, moving on onto Decay. Okay, a question I suppose you can answer: what do you think the best deck to deal with neutral spawn at the moment is? Okay, so there are a few different answers to deal with that, and this kind of ties into the is spawn unbeatable thing. I am going to talk about this in a later video. However, for now, I will say that some options that you can use for playing against Mid Shadow are, or sorry, not Mid Shadow, sorry, but for playing around Spawn Blood or Neutral Blood or whatever is Mid Shadow. The reason why that works is because you have a lot of destroy effects that can blow up Spawn while he's in stealth. Sure, you'll take the damage, but you also have some healing in your deck as well because you have Cowie and if you're running the list, and if you're running this variation of the list, you can also potentially have Unica to heal you for 2. I know you might be saying, but 2 HP isn't that much, but every 1 point of HP matters. Especially in the case of Spawn, where Spawn can easily do 6 to 16 damage to you. The other option is Burn Rune. Now, Burn Rune has seen a few different transformations during this expansion. Actually, I've talked about Professor of Taboos a lot, and a lot of people looked at me like I was crazy. But suddenly, the current net deck for Burn Rune does use 2 copies of Professor of Taboo, because Taboos is amazing. Like, I used to joke that Taboos is God. But he is a very, very strong card, and he's strong enough to be a win condition on his own, just because you get so many stats from him. So you can use that. Burn Rune also goes fairly fast, and you have a lot of burn effects coming from both Levi's, both young and old. So you play three of each of those. So assuming that they get all 3 of those to go off, that's 18 damage. And because each one that you see will give you 3 damage if you can activate its respective effect. You also have Halo Golem. That's another source of 3 damage. So you run trip sets of all 3 of those. That's possibly 27 damage. You play Mutagenic Bolt. Mutagenic Bolt usually does 2 to 3 damage. You play Dance of Death. Again, another 2 damage. And you can see where I'm going with this. So that as the damage kind of racks up, and you do a lot of things with that. However, to some extent, Burn Dirt is kind of inconsistent, just because you still have some of the same issues that you do, just because you're still playing Dirt as a whole. Sometimes you can see your sigils, but not see any of your activators, or conversely, you can see your activators, but none of your sigils. You're playing activators without sigils feels very, very bad. That's part of why Young Levi is so good, just because he doesn't need a sigil to do what he wants to do. He works a lot better with a sigil, but he doesn't actually need it to again be effective. And then the other major one that I've seen personally and also played is both Seraph as well as Aegis variants, and even just Stormhaven. The reasons why these work is because right now, the other contender for strongest 2-drop in the game is Princess Snow White. The reason why she's so strong is because she's essentially a 3/5 worth of stats and 2 bodies, and she gives you a lot of trading options. Now, granted, you're most likely gonna go ahead and throw away the 1/2 because you're gonna have to like bump into a 2-drop in order to clear it. However, Spawn Blood does play Baphomets, and sometimes. And even Aggro Cat plays Baphomet as well, and sometimes you'll run into people who have to like play Baphomet on 2, and in those games you'll feel so good just because you can bump it, it dies, and they can kill a second 2-drop as well. Like Snow White is honestly one of the best cards of this expansion, but it's been like massively underrated. The other important part is that right now Haven as a whole has an incredible turn 5, turn 6 play. On turn 5, you want to be playing March Hare's Tea Time. You want to be getting out a Tin Soldier, that's a 4/5. You want to be able to Evo it. When you Evo it, it can deal 3 damage anywhere. It can go face, it can hit a minion, whatever you want. And you go ahead and you can bust up boards. You can threaten lethal. On top of that, even though Tin Soldier has a long cooldown, a long countdown to when you can get a second one, which is also insane by itself. You can combo that with Garuda, and you can turn 6, go Garuda, get a second Tin Soldier, and do the same thing as the first time, and you can go ahead and throw even more damage to face if you need to. This allows you to raise Spawn Blood, just because if you wanted to, from just that play alone, even if your Tin Soldier doesn't stick, you can throw 9 damage to the face while developing a board. That is insane. And then lastly, certain dragon variants can beat Spawn Blood as well. However, you're very contingent on not bricking, and as a result, you may have noticed that you've seen dragon decks as a whole curve a lot lower. Like for example, I'm talking about lists that play 6 4-drops. So that's pretty much unheard of in Dragon. Dragon you would usually only play like 2 to 3. But now in some lists you're seeing it as many as 5 or 6. Okay, but again, I will be talking about this in a later video, and I will be providing deck lists as I talk about this, just as a good focal point for any of you guys who might be struggling with Spawn Blood. All right, Faywell asks, what other decks are you working on at the moment? Now, funny story for him, he actually did not know that I had a YouTube, which is why he asked me that question, but I'm still going to answer it anyway. At the moment, I'm working on a few different things. I'm working on some Dread Sea Queen projects. I'm also going to be uploading a game. I'm also going to be uploading a deck list for Worm Goddess, because that's one of the decks that I think people are building incorrectly. And I'm also still playing around with Dirt Rune. Now, my Dirt Rune is not Burn Dirt. It's a different, slower deck list. I'm also lastly going to be uploading some decks for not only mid-range Shadow when I get around to start playing with my own variations for beating Haven, as well as I'm going to be uploading some Control Sword decks. So definitely expect a bunch of decks from me in the next week or so. Alright, now Kiri-chan asks, also if you don't know him either, Kiri-chan aka Kieran is a Malaysian Shadowverse streamer. He and I are pretty good friends. Go ahead and check him out as well. I'll go ahead and leave both his and ksheri's YouTube channels down in the description below. But anyway, he asked, what do you do when you don't have enough questions for Ask Nanjiroh? Alright, so this is a very good question. because most times everyone, including myself sometimes, kind of forgets to ask me questions unless I bug them about it, and even me myself, I will sometimes forget to bug people to give me questions to begin with, just because this is a segment that I do like doing a lot, just because I'm pretty long-winded as a whole, because as you may have noticed, usually these videos usually take about 40 minutes to maybe an hour. And so I really like using this as an outlet, just because there are a lot of things that I want to say at any given point in time, and sometimes you maybe don't have like the maybe 20 to 30 minutes just to hear me explain a point. Granted, that's a little bit of an over exaggeration. It doesn't take me 20 to 30 minutes to explain one point usually, but yeah. So I like doing that. So I like doing these so that way you can kind of listen to me at your leisure. But that's actually answer the question, what do you do when you don't have enough questions for Ask Nanjiroh? I usually go out of my way to try to remember to bug you guys about it, or conversely, if I have any leftover questions from the week before, I try to use those. But I usually try to answer each and every question in the same week when I get asked, just because, again, people are kind of forgetful, and they might forget that they asked me, and they might be looking forward to the videos. So then when they don't see their question answered, they might get upset. Additionally, I do try to make each answer fairly long and very, very detailed, so that way you kind of get the A to Z all around in-depth answer to your question. Is out of hand damage getting out of hand? All right. Sorry for laughing. It was just the way that was worded. Okay, so. A lot of people complain about burn damage just because, like, burn is not fun for people. Alright, so while several things aren't fun, what a lot of people don't find fun is getting burned out of the game. Burn is a necessary archetype, and it's a necessary evil. Oh, I'm not gonna say it's an evil. Just that it's something that's necessary for the ecosystem of the game. If you don't have burn or out of hand damage or anything like that, then suddenly decks that are mid-range focused just become overwhelming to deal with, just because you suddenly lose your out of, oh, well, I lost the board, I now need something to do, just because certain creatures are going to be stronger than other creatures. Like, for example, Tove and Princess Snow White. Those are the best 2-drops in the game. There's almost nothing in the game that can compete with both of those 1v1. There are only like a few creatures, and even spell cards for the same mana cost that come close. Some of these ones that come close are Lurching Corpse. However, Lurching Corpse can't actually kill both bodies of Snow White, or say Zombie Party can't actually kill both bodies of Snow White. You can answer Toph pretty easily, but, well, I say pretty loosely, but it's a lot harder to answer Snow White. So as a result, you want to have the burn damage as a fallback, just because when you don't, then suddenly decks like for example, standard mid-range sword from again back in standard that use the Oto Sage combination, of which they would play Oto Hime, and then they would play Sage Commander, and then suddenly you just kind of lost because you were never going to get back on board, and you can't kill them because you don't have that out of hand damage. So again, it's a necessary evil. I don't think it's getting too out of hand. I say this, but let me clarify. For the most part, it's not too out of hand. The only I guess like outlier for, oh wow, this is really fucking crazy, is Spawn of the Abyss. Just because Spawn of the Abyss, it's one card that with an Evo does 16 damage. That is insane. Because you have cards like Albert, who with an Evo, and while being vulnerable, he does 10, and he costs 1 more mana. Whereas Spawn is just, it's 1 mana less, it gets added protection, and it can deal 16 damage. It can actually even deal more, actually. It can deal up to 18 to 20 damage by itself. But that does require you to run like a pretty funky list in order to do that with like Executioner's Axes. But no, I do think to an extent burn damage as it is now is fine. It does suck getting burned out, but you have to remember that burn is a play style. Is it justified that the top 3 classes are strong in both tempo and control and have a few viable meta decks, while the other 4 barely have 1 or 2? I don't think that this is okay. So I don't. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and break this. I'm gonna go ahead and break this question up into parts. A lot of decks. All right, so not every class is going to have multiple decks that are like vastly different from one another, and that adhere to multiple archetypes at once. Like, for example, Dragon as a whole. Sure, you have aggro dragon, but you don't really have like a mid-range dragon or anything like that. You just have like ramp control and you have ramp storm. But for the most part, they more or less use the same 30 to 36 card core. for stuff like Roach, you have stuff like, or sorry, not Roach. God, I actually meant to say Forest, but generally, the general meme is that whenever you say Forest, what you really mean to say is Roach. But but no, Forest used to have a aggro deck. It has an aggro deck. It has a combo slash OTK deck. But really, for the most part, the Roach kind of centralizes the entirety of the class. However, I do like that in this expansion, a lot of decks are starting to come into their own, and we're starting to see a lot of different things. I do think it's incorrect to say that the other 4 classes in this case, I'm assuming what he meant is that for the other 4 classes that he meant Dragon, Forest, Shadow, Rune maybe? No, not Rune. Sorry. Dragon, Shadow, Forest, Sword. Okay, there we go. Yeah. But I do think that's one of those. We're still in the process. We're still in that, like, I'm not gonna say honeymoon phase, but we're still in that process in which people are still not yet ready to look for other fruit on the tree that is metagames. But again, this is part of why I like my channel, just because I try to go ahead and I try to find these decks, just because other people might not be looking for it, and might, you know, they might want to see something different, and I go ahead and I try to provide that for you guys. All right, his next question: how many ducks have you lost to this expansion? So I'm pretty sure this is a typo. He meant decks, because at time of this recording, it's like 7 a.m. for him. and actually for decks that I've lost to this expansion, there is quite a few. Holy shit. Alright, so in the Discord that he and I use, well, in the primary Discord that he and I use, we actually have a salt thread there. And I did actually post in that salt thread a very, very long salty rant. Well, it wasn't like super salty, but it was just like it was like more so frustration than anything else, because I've actually lost to almost every single meme from this expansion. I have lost to Neutral Sarah. I have lost to Tilting at Windmills. I've actually lost to Tilting at Windmills 4 fucking times. That's its own separate, like, hair-tearing, like, nightmare. Just because every time I would play against it, I wouldn't get a Bahamut. They'd be playing the super, like, OTK like combo version that has like tutors for everything it needs. So it has Uriels. It also has Goblin Mages as well, because the way the deck works is you want to kind of use your opponent's momentum against them. Well, I say momentum, but it's not even momentum. It's more like you want to turn your opponent's creatures against them, because the way the deck works is you play the Uriel to search out Tilting at Windmills. You play the Goblin Mage to search out Hamsa, which is your only 2-drop in that deck. And what you do is you go ahead and you ramp like regular. You go ahead and you play your Tilting at Windmills. And then when your opponent kind of freaks out and is trying to kill you, you then go Hamsa, and then you kill them. As long as they have one creature that's at 6 HP or more, each of the Hamsas will go ahead and steal their attack value, and you'll have 18 damage there. You most likely won't have used Evos, or if you have, you won't have used all of them. So you can go ahead and Evo on to add the 2 extra damage. So you get 6 plus 6 plus 6 is 18, plus 2 is 20. And I've lost to that, like, again, 2 or 3 times now, maybe 4 times. I'm not sure. I always lose count, just because, like, every time it happens, I'm always playing Ramp Dragon, which as I said before, is a very, very slow deck, even when it's trying to go fast. And I just would not find a Bahamut in time in order to blow up the Tilting at Windmills. So I would have to try to play the game regularly, and then they would just OTK me. The most spectacular OTK that happened to me was my opponent. I believe he was on 10 mana, and he went Hamsa, Earthshock Ogre for 25. The Hamsas copied the attack value of my Ouroboros, so that was already 16 damage. Then he played Earthshock Ogre. Earthshock Ogre is actually scary under tilting at windmills, just because for 8 mana and an Evo, you can just suicide 12 damage into your opponent, and there's not much that they can do about it if they don't have a ward in play. Hell, even if they have a ward in play, the Earthshock Ogre, because it deals this damage in 3 separate parts, you can go ahead and blow up most wards and go face anyway, and still hit face for about 9 damage. So it was a very, very frustrating loss. But sometimes these happen. For the neutral Seraph game, that game was frustrating just because the way my opponent played, he would have been dead to Zeus, or sorry, not Zeus. He would have been dead to Genesis Dragon, or if I had Evo'd the turn before, or maybe made a more aggressive play. And that's one of those losses where you lost because you yourself fucked up, and you tried to play around something that there was no reason to play around, just because you kind of like miscalculated your damage. Let's see what else is on this list. I've lost to Ariet. I've lost to Beauty and the Beast plus Ariet. And the way that works is you play out the Beauty and the Beast, you make it a 9/10 with Evo. That's very, very hard to kill. And if it sticks, you go ahead and you attack face. Then you play Ariet. Then you attack face again. Now I've lost to that twice, and the second time was very, very funny because the second time it was actually an OTK, because if you do the math for the first example, that's 9 plus 9, so that's 18. However, in the second example, the Beauty and the Beast, it caught Alice buffs as well as a buff from Actrasferia. So it was at I believe 11. Yeah, so it was an 11 damage Beauty and the Beast that hit me the first time. He played the Ariet, hit me again, and that was 22 damage. That was pretty insane. The other deck that I've lost to is was Polyphonic OTK Dragon. Now, what I mean by Polyphonic OTK is that it's not an FTK like my deck. It was that he straight up OTK'd me. Now, I was playing Aegis Haven, and I had the Aegis on board, and I was like, cool, yeah, I won. But then he played the Poly into me, and I was like, wait. And because the second he played the Poly into me, I was like, oh my god, he's gonna fucking OTK me, isn't he? And then he OTK'd me, because then he played Dread Sea Queen plus Genesis Dragon plus Ariet. For exactly 23 damage total, because he had an Evo left. What else? I've also lost to D-Shift plus Dread Sea Queen plus Lucifer for 20 damage. I've lost it to most of the meta decks at least once, and I think I lost to an Alice deck too once actually, but surprisingly, the only meme that I've been able to survive thus, or it's not even a meme because the card is good. It's just people are building it wrong. But the only like crazy deck that I've actually managed to never lose to thus far is actually ironically Worm Goddess, which is the card that I was actually most excited for this expansion, just because with Dragoncraft you have the issue of if your opponent plays any wards at all, you kind of get fucked by that. So what would happen was they would go ahead and they would play the Worm Goddess, then I would play a ward, and then they wouldn't be able to kill me. The saddest time that this actually happened was because I've actually faced the deck 2 or 3 times now, but the saddest part was when my opponent hit me for 14 with a Forte. But 14 isn't 20, so I lived, and I just killed him on board. The other sad part was the time where my opponent got it, and he had the Genesis Dragon for it too, but there was a giant Zeus in his way that was at full HP, so he had to throw in a 14-18 Genesis Dragon into his Zeus. That was soul crushing to watch. That god, that's one of those times where they're just like, man, fuck this game. But yeah, I do plan on playing around with the deck myself, and I will have a deck list video up for you guys soon. His last question is, do you even non-pasu? Now, I actually had no idea what the fuck he said to me. I actually had to look it up. I did have a picture for it, but basically, non-pasu is one of those, I guess, like not hyphenated. It's one of those like conglomerated. There we go. It's one of those conglomerated words that people kind of like put together, but then and it seems dumb, but then it becomes like popular. I believe it's supposed to be like a sort of like pun on good morning. Like another example of this is the term "nah mean," which is actually one of my favorite things. I don't actually use it that much, but it's just my favorite thing because like I as a whole, I'm a very, very lazy person, and so like when I first heard the term when I was like growing up, I was like enamored with it just because the concept of compressing 4 words into 2 blew my fucking mind. Like you don't even know. However, like I said, I don't actually use it that much just because usually, as you may have noticed from when I speak, I usually try to avoid like, I guess, slang or anything like that. I usually just kind of come to you with the direct term of whatever it is I'm saying. Although that's like a different story when I type, just because I do tend to use a lot of abbreviations, much to the annoyance of my friends. Okay. Opinion on the neutral and spawn meta. Okay. Okay, so for spawn, as I said before, there are a few different decks that can beat it. However, part of why this issue has blown up to the current state that it's in is because Cygames kind of made a mistake. They okay, so they did and didn't make a mistake. Generally, when you play a game, especially a competitive game, and then there's a reason to get competitive, things tend to get out of hand pretty quickly, just because you'll have people who want to just play the game, they're fairly casual, and then you'll have people who want to play the game and they want whatever the fuck that reward is. In this case, the reward was Grandmaster Sleeves. Now, we'll start with Grandmaster Sleeves, the Grandmaster Flare, and then the 10 guaranteed packs from X set. Now, obviously, this is suddenly a new thing, a new development and whatnot. 10k Master Point is seemingly easy to get, and like it's seemingly easy to get just because as a whole you're already gonna be playing to get 12k scores, so you can get above the sleeves and whatnot. However, this brought out the tryhards and whatnot, so generally they're gonna be playing the best of the best. And right now, a lot of people kind of feel like they're being suffocated by like neutrals and like spawn and whatnot, and that's a very, very negative feeling overall. Which, as you may have noticed, places like certain Shadowverse streamers who used to not complain at all, you'll start like hearing them complain now and whatnot, and it's a very, very unpleasant experience for the game right now. However, that being said, I'm actually really excited for the nerfs in 2 weeks, because although we don't know what the nerfs will be just yet, this meta is actually one of the better ones in a sense, just because it's not everyone complaining about multiple things at the same time. At the moment, the general consensus that I've gotten from either talking to people or just like reading posts on like Reddit and the like, is that were it not for spawn and the neutrals, this meta would be a very, very good meta overall. Now, I don't know exactly how much of that is true, just because I try to stay neutral on these sort of things. I try to stay neutral on these sort of things when I myself don't have that much of an opinion on it, just because you don't want to be that guy that kind of like or you don't want to be that guy or that girl that kind of like shoots off their mouth with for no reason. I do, however, think that once we get this nerfs and that as more and more people get Grandmaster and thus no longer feel the need to try hard, that we'll see more interesting things, at least as far as ladder goes. Even now, I get like differing opinions from people from what they see on ladder. Like, for example, for me personally, on the day in which I climbed the Grandmaster, I saw mainly just blood. And then I also saw some sword, I saw some dragon, and I saw some rune. However, some of my friends like kiri he apparently only sees Haven and he only sees Dragon. So it's really nice that this meta isn't like last meta, and that every game it would be Dragon Shadow, Dragon Shadow, Dragon Shadow. Because overall, again, what people want to an extent is they want diversity. And then lastly, ksheri. She asks, what is your favorite and least favorite card this expansion, and why? Tepo easy. Alright, so I have a lot of favorite cards for this expansion. Like, I mean, a lot. My initial favorite card is Worm Goddess. So the reason why it's Worm Goddess is partially because during reveal season, whenever we get the cards, we usually get their Japanese translated name first. And Worm Goddess's Japanese translated name was I believe it's called Ascension Sky Dragon. Now, Ascension Sky Dragon is a card in Yu-Gi-Oh! It's actually a really cool card, and again, it relates back to Dragon Rulers. Oh god. Don't worry. Eventually, one week, there will be an Ask Nanjiroh in which I don't somehow make a Yu-Gi-Oh! Reference. I promise. Probably. My least favorite card this meta is my least favorite card this expansion. There are a few different ones. I think for now, the one I'm gonna have a love-hate relationship with is actually two different cards. The first card is Tenko. So you might be wondering, why Tenko? Well, the reason why Tenko is because she by herself completely reinvigorated the deck that is Alana Haven, where you basically just kind of turn your heals into raw offensive damage. And by that I mean, each time you heal your leader, the Alana will give each of the creatures on your board +1/+1, and that can stack several times. And and I've had games where my opponent will play Beast Call Aria on 2 into Tenko on 5, and then when that happens, you just kind of lose the game, because your opponent is going to heal for at least 2 plus anything that they have on the board from the combination of Tenko being able to attack, as well as the 2/1 bird that comes out being able to attack from the Aria. However, on top of that, you now have to kill the Tenko itself, because if you don't, he's going to heal up every single turn. However, the Tenko will have like a billion HP, so it's kind of like a lose-lose battle. It's not uncommon for Alana Haven to heal for at least like 15 to 20 fairly consistently, and usually from like 1 or 2 cards. Now, a meme that people had last expansion was that, oh, Dragon's the new healing class, just because Dragon got like two different legendaries that both have healing applications. However, you can say that, but at least when Dragon heals, it's usually at like semi-low tempo, and they have to kind of work for it. However, with Alana's, you can just play multiple small dudes in one turn, and then suddenly you're facing down an army that you have to kill, because if you don't kill them, they're gonna kill you, and the longer that takes for you to win the game, the harder and harder it is for you to actually close up the game in and of itself, just because there's only one class that really runs Bahamut, and that's Dragon. And if you can't blow up each and every Alana as it comes into play, you're gonna be in for a rough game. The most tilted I got was actually a game where I was watching Kiri's stream one day, and and his opponent had Heavenly Aegis and like a full board, and every single creature on that board, even though they were like 2-drops for the most part, with the exception of the Aegis, they all had like well over 10 HP. Like, the Heavenly Aegis itself, which again you can't actually interact with. Bear that in mind. You can't. There's only one card in the game that can actually like deal with Heavenly Aegis. and the Heavenly Aegis itself was a 17-17. How do you deal with a 17-17 that you can't kill? And it's just really frustrating for me. The other card that I guess I dislike is probably Tove, but not for like the reasons that you might think. The artwork on Tove itself is cool, and again, this is the same thing that I feel about Tenko, because I actually really like Tenko, because the second I saw Tenko, I was like, oh my god, Alana Haven is gonna be good again. And by good, I mean like really good. But for Tove, I just like Tove just because Tove is... Alright. Tove is a sort of like Doctor 2, and like right now, a lot of the things that you would play on 2 are more or less invalidated by Tove. But Tove is a sort of like, I guess, like symptomatic issue in the sense that you already want to deal with the Tove, and because if you don't deal with the Tove is gonna go at least 2 for 1 with your creatures, or he's gonna hit you in the face for like 10 damage or something like that. However, if you kill the Tove, you're most likely using a removal spell, which means that you can't contest board, which means that your opponent can start the snowball train on you, because they can go 1-drop into Tove, into Goblin Leader, into Alice, and then you just never recover. So I think that when Tove gets nerfed, that might change things a little bit, just because it'll make it easier for you to maybe contest Goblin Leader. I do believe that Goblin Leader should get nerfed as well, but I'll go ahead and talk about that in a different video. But yeah. Damn, I'm actually surprised I was able to cover all these answers. This video is probably super long. I don't know exactly how long it is. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you for watching. Go ahead and leave a like if you did. But before I end this video, I want to go ahead and say shoutouts to all of you, because I recently hit 20 subscribers today. That's actually super exciting. I wasn't aware until earlier today that I've been actually like doing this YouTube channel for about like 4 months now, which, yeah, 4 months just kind of like flew by, because I started on April 15th. It's now July 13th or something like that. So April, May, June, July. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed.